According to Newsweek.com, 18.2% of Americans suffer from a mental illness. That can include bipolar, depression, anxiety, PTSD, and so many more. There are a lot of reasons that I'm passionate about becoming a psychologist, but two of the main reasons are that I have mental illness that runs on both sides of my family, and I also had a brother-in-law that had PTSD and depression, and he actually committed suicide. We'll start with the fact that I have mental illness on both sides of my family. On my mom's side, we have social anxiety and depression. My sister is in her early 30s, and when she gets in social situations that don't go quite as they should have, or they don't go quite as planned, or they become stressful, she begins to have anxiety, and she just needs to get out of the situation that she's in. My sister in her late 20s, she has depression, and she when she's not at work, she's mostly laying in bed, and very occasionally she will go out and do some thrill-seeking activities to get her adrenaline pumping, so she feels something other than that depressing push on her chest. On my dad's side of the family, we have bipolar. My dad has had bipolar since I was younger. I didn't realize it until I got older that a lot of his mannerisms followed in line with bipolar disorder. He's very charming, but he goes days at a time where he just lays in bed. And when I was younger, I always thought that he was sick. As I got older, I realized that was the depression part of his bipolar disorder. My older sister, she has bipolar disorder. And she used to not be able to function in school as a child without bipolar disorder would. She would lash out, get angry, throw things, break things, become sad, and no one understood why, because her bipolar went undiagnosed and untreated until she was much older. Besides my family having anxiety and depression and bipolar, I actually had a brother-in-law who had PTSD, and PTSD and depression are so real. My brother-in-law went overseas, and he was in the infantry in the army. He fought in wars. He saved people's lives. There are a lot of people that are here today that wouldn't be here if he hadn't been there to help them. He was shot at, and I believe at times he believed he should have been shot. And so when he came back from war, that PTSD didn't go away. He still felt like he shouldn't be here. He should have died over there as a hero, and he came back, and that's not what he was anymore. And the depression started to kick in, and he would go missing for days. He would not talk to my sister for days, and one time he was gone for 3 days. He came home, and he told my sister, "I'm so sorry for everything." He went outside into a soccer field, went to the bathroom on the soccer field, and he committed suicide. And that's hard to handle that's hard for a family to handle when they weren't expecting something like that to ever happen. And so that caused my sister's depression to become even worse. Besides the fact that I have mental illness in my family, and I know somebody that has committed suicide because of a mental illness, I just really want to make a difference. I love listening to people. I'm very good at emotionally disconnecting myself from what they're going through in order to think about it logically so that I can give the best advice without getting emotionally invested. But I also know how it feels to have problems that you can't feel like you talk to anybody about because they don't understand. I have anxiety, and when I start to talk to people about it, I feel like I'm talking in circles because they don't understand what I'm talking about, but I think it makes perfect sense. So if I can take all of the experiences that I've had in my life and the experience that I get from my family as a whole, I feel like I could really help somebody. So the reason that I want to be a psychologist, and that's my biggest goal in life, is because I do have mental illness that runs in my family, and my brother-in-law did commit suicide, and I want to be able to prevent somebody else from doing that. This is what I want to do. This is what I want to dedicate my life to, regardless of how stressful and how hard it is and how backwards it may seem, because most people don't want to listen to other people's problems and make that their life, but that's what I want to dedicate my life to. And that is my biggest goal, and it doesn't matter how hard or stressful it is. That is exactly what I want to do with my life.